front of me and I'll stop blocking your picture. Go ahead, go in front, go in front. I just want to make sure I don't have anybody. Yeah, good, sir. We're going to head down the right side. Go ahead and take a picture. I'll be right here. No. Yeah, I know, me too. You'd be right behind me. I'm just kidding. I mean, if they ever let anybody in, you'll have to be behind me. I'll be the first one. Okay, very good. All you have to do is get that hatch open. Hi, Bruce. Hi, everybody. No, it left, yeah. It was here for a couple of weeks. It was a spectacular aircraft. She asked if Solar Impulse was still here. The sign may still be on the back end of the hangar.
How many times was it open for public?
It was here about 3 or 4 weeks. It was definitely open 3 or 4 times. Yeah. You'll see it again. They're going to attempt to fly around the world in a couple of years. You'll see it again. It'll be on the news. Used no fuel whatsoever. The Solar Impulse, it was a solar airplane that was on display here for a little bit. They had flown it across the country. It goes at about 25 miles an hour. It can only fly in really calm weather, although it can fly at night because the solar cells recharge batteries in the engine, and it could literally fly overnight. It was really sweet. A friend of mine who lives near here, that Sunday night it flew in, was out in his backyard, and he saw this thing in the sky making a humming noise, and he thought, my God, it's a UFO. It was a Solar Impulse. Yes? You were blocking the light. So maybe she could do that for you. There you go. What a great crowd. So the space shuttle. I used to do human space flight. I'm only going to cover human space flight in here. You can see missiles and rockets over here. You can come back and check them out another time. I used to do a human space flight in chronological order, starting with Robert Goddard in the 1920s, going to the birth of NASA in 1959-8. The first astronauts in 1959, the first launches. And when Discovery got here, no one was paying attention to me anymore because they were all taking pictures and looking at Discovery. So now I start with Discovery and I go sort of backward. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I learned pretty quickly. So Discovery, the shuttle program was in order to get equipment and satellites into low Earth orbit and be reusable. And using this poster right here, it's so nice that they put the poster right here for me. I can show you the parts of the shuttle that are reusable. The orbiter itself is reusable. Of course, that's how the astronauts go up and come down. It took off like a rocket. It flew in space like a spacecraft. You're so comfy down there. I'm going to have you hold that. And it returned to Earth like a glider. No engines, dead stick landing. Pretty incredible. The orbiter is reusable. Notice the big orange tank that the orbiter is attached to. This is its fuel source. The liquid oxygen. Can you see what I'm pointing to, sir? I'm pointing to this poster right here. Can you see that okay? So the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen are in here, and they fuel the 3 main engines for the shuttle. About 1.5 million pounds of thrust. That external tank is not reusable. The solid rocket boosters, these big solid rocket boosters over here, they are reusable. They burn for about 2 minutes. Somebody said to me, well, of course they're solid. Well, what I mean is the fuel is a solid propellant. It's aluminum oxide and something else, ammonium perchloride. They're actually a solid. They burn for 2 minutes. When their fuel is burned up, they each provide 3 million pounds of thrust, by the way. The whole package weighs 4.5 million pounds. The thrust is 7.5 million. That's a great differential. That's why when you see a space shuttle launch, they jump off the launch pad. So the 2 solid rocket boosters, when they're done after about 2 minutes, they jettison, they float back down to the ocean by parachute, they're retrieved and reused. 8 minutes. The main engines for the shuttle burn about 8 minutes. That's all it takes to get to space, 60 miles above our head. And the fuel in the external tank, gone. And just before the shuttle is inserted into space and begins to circle the Earth on its own power, the external tank is separated, it breaks up in the Earth's atmosphere. So it is not reusable. That's one of the three major parts that's not reusable. The shuttle was America's space truck. We were going to launch cargoes into low Earth orbit. The only way in and out for the crew is the hatch right here. It's the only way in and out. We sent as few as 2 astronauts. We sent as many as 8. The pilot and the commander get to sit up on the top with the glass. They get the great view. The rest of the mission specialists, and now this could be as many as 6 other individuals, are all living in the mid-deck, which is right here. That's it. If you can picture 2 minivans stacked on top of one another, that's all the room they had. Now, it's almost zero gravity, so they can float and use the entire area, but that's still pretty cramped. And you're talking about living, eating, exercising, working, other stuff, all there. So,
what are those white patches? These things are externally put later on, or it was in the original? This white.
The white patches. Let me get to that in a minute. If I forget, please remind me. Let's take a few steps down here. Sorry guys, I got to get you up. I made the children get up. I think I have another chair for you. You can stay there. I'm pretty loud. You might still be able to hear me. Okay. So that's the only way in and out, up on the flight deck. Now, as soon as you are in space, you want to open up the cargo bay doors, because there's 2 million moving parts in a shuttle, and they all are generating heat because they're all electrical. And by opening up the cargo bay doors up in space where it's freezing, you're going to allow a lot of cooling. The cargo bay doors start right here at that seam and go 60 feet all the way to there. And they open like a clamshell. A full-size American school bus will fit very nicely inside here, 60 feet long. They could lift 40 to 50,000 Earth weight pounds into low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is considered about 100 miles to 400 miles above our heads. Communication satellites and those types of things, they're like 25,000 miles up. Geosynchronous satellites, you know, the ones that stay in the same spot around the Earth, they're way up there. Low Earth orbit is only 100 to 400 miles up. That's where the shuttle operates, and that's where the International Space Station flies. So the doors are open. If the mission calls for putting a satellite in space, a mission specialist down here in the crew climbs up onto the flight deck, and behind here, the bulkhead looking out into the cargo bay area, there's a window, and he or she, the mission specialist, will then manipulate this robotic arm right here. I have somebody from Canada here. Are we still here? We'll never forget a country. So our friends in Canada made it. We put their name on it. It's mounted right inside the door right here. And that mission specialist manipulates this like a video game, guys. Yeah, I know. The only practice necessary is being good at video games. Not quite that simple, but you kind of get the idea. Where's your shoulder? Where's your shoulder? Where's your shoulder? Here's our shoulder. This is the shoulder right here. Mounted right inside there. Elbow. Our elbow halfway down. And then at the other end is the wrist. That mission specialist, they were so good at this, they can manipulate that thing. They could grab a satellite on board, lift it out to deploy it. On a number of occasions, they actually snagged a satellite circling the Earth and pulled it back in here for repair. Astronauts could stand on the wrist end, and they could be manipulated around to build things in space like the International Space